This podcast is part of the Michigan Sports and Entertainment Podcast Network. Go to michigansportsandentertainment.com for more great podcasts.
This is Things I Found Online. Coming to you live from the Oaks of Sherman in Bel Air adjacent Los Angeles, California. Today we are delving into binge-worthy shows and the future of streaming media. With us are radio personality Mike Wagner, writer, director, journalist Dawn Garcia, and recent college grads and tech-experts Jake Palanker and Ryan Tabb. I am the lovely and talented Jamie Alcroft, gracefully throwing to my podcast cohort, Louise Palanker. Weezy?
Thank you, Jamie, and welcome, panel. As technology continues to evolve, it will do so around certain key constants, among them being our enduring desire to receive and consume information and entertainment. The variables being how we will receive it, how much we will pay for it, and who will profit. Welcome, please, if you will, Dawn Garcia. She's a writer, director, journalist, public speaker, die-hard advocate of equality, and a firm believer that the arts will save humanity. Applause break. Applause break.
I'm a believer.
She has written several pieces of fiction, published over 2,000 articles, written 2 books, completed 3 screenplays, developed 2 TV series, and multiple feature films. Dawn will be directing for the first time this year. She owns and operates A. Todd magazine, A Taste of Dawn, and is the manager, print editor of Sensi magazine, Southern California. You are a busy lady.
Yeah, how did you find time? How did we get you?
How are you
This
here?
is amazing.
I literally flew in from Dallas late last night, saw an email from Dina, I think before I flew in, and said, sure, we talked today.
Before you had time to think it over.
3 hours, and I was like, okay, my daughter can wait.
Kid schmids.
Yes,
And of course, joining us via Zoom video conferencing, we have radio personality and podcaster, also multitasking, Mike Wagner. There's Mike.
How are we doing today, guys? Hello.
Pretty good. Very handsome.
Thank you.
Mike is also a voiceover artist. He hosts the Mike Wagner Show. We can click on some links that illustrate thus. Mike is also a radio personality on KFYR, K-Fire Radio in Bismarck, North Dakota. You can listen to him online at kfyr.com. So Mike's pretty much all over the place.
Yeah, I listen to
Facebook too. Yes,
and he's on Facebook. Yes, he's all over Facebook. Jake Palanker is a newly minted Harvey Mudd graduate with honors, I will add, because he is my nephew and I get to brag.
That's awesome.
It also explains the similarity in our last names. Ryan Tabb is a sports journalist and a newly minted Syracuse University Newhouse School graduate.
Yay.
And we are going to begin our conversation with our summer streaming picks. And I'm going to go to Dawn first because Dawn, pre-show, just revealed to me, scoop, this just in breaking, that you just wrote an article of good shows to binge this summer.
Not to be published until July.
And you,
but yes.
But you should feel free to quote yourself.
Oh, I will. I will.
It's all right. It doesn't leave the room.
I'm a big binge watcher because I don't have time. I don't have time to do the weekly check-ins. So I have become a little bit obsessed with trying to catch up on everything. I've discovered some new shows. Killing Eve is the one that I just finished. I think it's already on regular TV, but I don't have regular TV, so it's all new to me.
Yeah, you miss out a lot not being on regular TV.
It's so
you miss out
so
on
much
a lot.
happier.
Infomercials. It's all those wonderful products you can buy at 3 o'clock in the
all
morning.
The late nights.
You miss all that.
I know. But yeah, I that one and
so
then
wait.
Sorry.
Killing Eve, because sometimes people just hear these titles and they don't really know. Well, what is kill? How many episodes does it take to kill Eve? Like, is she Rasputin? Like, what is happening? So what is the show about?
So the show is Sandra Oh. It's a great departure from her role as Christina Yang on Grey's Anatomy. And then this other character, I can't remember the actress's name because it's the first time I have ever seen her. But
Jodie Comer.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. And she's unbelievably
What did
talented.
she say? What was the actress's name?
Jodie Krumler? Oh, Comer. That's what it is.
Jodie Comer.
Yes, okay.
Credit where credit's due.
Yeah, no, she's a phenomenal actress. But so basically it's a game of cat and mouse where Christina Oh's character is Eve, and she's an investigator, and Vianelle is this crazy talented hit woman. And Sandra Oh's character Eve begins to chase her, and then they have this sort of wonderfully flawed, super screwed up relationship of both respecting each other but knowing they have to take each other out.
This is killing me.
Oh my God,
it's killing me.
It really is. It's a
So
phenomenal
tip
show.
of the hat to Tom and Jerry.
Seriously, it really is. It's like Wiley.
Very much. Acme
It's great.
is one of the sponsors, actually.
And beautifully shot too. I have to say, it's really, really beautiful.
Yeah,
to
we're
watch.
looking forward to binging on that.
Oh, it's a good one.
Sounds awesome.
What's another one?
What else you got?
Russian Doll. Anybody who ever watched Orange Is the New Black, Nikki, Natasha. Again, I'm like forgetting everybody's last names, but she's Orange Is the New
Kinski.
Black. Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's Natasha. No, not Kinski.
Leon.
Kinski.
Leon. Okay,
Rachmaninoff.
she's
Leon.
phenomenal though. So Russian Doll is basically it's a time lapse story, a time loop story. So she dies every day, over and over and over again. But she always starts off at the same party for her celebrating her birthday.
I think I saw a trailer for that.
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
I was interested.
It's a dark. It's like all the intersection of new characters, and everybody impacts everybody else. But sometimes you're wondering, like, what, you don't totally understand why she keep repeating it, and sometimes she's just crazy and she does whatever she wants, and but you start to figure out how everybody is connected, and then it introduces people because, again, even that system is flawed.
So it's a Run Lola Run Roshaman kind of thing.
Yes.
Groundhog Day.
It is. It's like a very dark, twisted Groundhog's Day meets Run Lola Run.
Yeah.
That's a
Groundhog's Day is already pretty dark and twisted if you go back and watch it again.
It is.
Kind
I
of is.
love that movie though.
Yeah.
It's such a great
Great movie.
I sort of think of it like Brooklyn hipsters meets Groundhog Day.
Yeah. Have you seen Russian Doll yet?
Yeah.
Okay, it really is. It is like these young 30-somethings and they live in this very swanky New York apartment that no one could possibly afford.
Right.
Yeah.
Just like Friends do.
Exactly. The no one ever had a job, and yet you know that their rent was like $6,000.
Maybe Chandler was paying for all of it.
That's what I think. I think Chandler was the secret wealthy one.
He was putting it all up his nose.
Later
Sorry.
to be determined.
What else?
How many stints in rehab?
Yeah.
Maniac.
Okay, do one more and then we'll get to other
Okay,
people.
I will say so.
Maniac. You like Maniac?
I
Tell me about.
Maniac. Okay, so
Why?
it's Emma Stone. It's again, I like seeing her as she's crazy, and it's so nice to not see her in these perfect little sweet roles where she's so likable. She's not totally likable, and Jonah Hill is in it, and Justin Theroux and Sally Field.
Yes.
It is a twisted mother-son relationship, our obsession with AI.
A lot of twisted stuff in your
I
list.
know. Well, but this is the beauty. And I know this is just going to segue into what we're talking about. The beauty of streaming television is that the freedom as a creator, it's so much broader. Actors get to play roles they wouldn't normally get to play. They really get to break away from the standard roles. And it's so much fun to watch because you get to see your favorite sweet people be dark and twisted. And it's probably fun. You know?
I'm sure it's really fun to play. All right, Jamie, what do you got?
Oh, what do I got as far as me watching?
What I have down
Well, you
for
know, what I put down on my list, Ms. Blanker,
Yes.
is
Your homework assignment was turned in on
Signed-
time.
with
Extra credit. Oh, he did. Twilight Zone. So you
Yes.
meant old school. Old
Yes,
school Twilight Zone.
old school
So
streaming,
what I noticed
old school binging.
So let me just
because you
mention-
brought up binging, and that's what I thought about. Because I'll watch a Twilight Zone episode, and then I'll watch 2 or 3 more.
Oh no, it happened
original,
to me.
right?
No, it happens to all of us where you get to the end and you're just like, one more.
Just one more.
And then
come on, maybe Burgess Meredith
But
will
4
be in this
o'clock in the
one.
morning.
But look at the screen for a moment, because what happened was when I got the homework assignment turned in from everybody, I would
Yes.
Google the shows, and I noticed if you simply Google a show,
Yes.
and it shows you all the different ways you can view said show. So Twilight Zone is available on Netflix, Amazon Prime, CBS, Hulu, YouTube, iTunes. And so if you're going like, she just told me about Russian Doll, I don't remember if it was Hulu, just Google it, because it will be
It's right
revealed
there.
to you like where we can find it, which is helpful.
Tifo, baby. Yeah, matter of fact, it's available on 6 channels. I have 6 televisions, and it makes it even a more surreal experience if you watch all 6 televisions at once.
That would make a
You know,
great
different
episode
episodes.
where you
You're
kind
watching
of
different
get
episodes,
sucked
and
into
you
one
just-
of them, but we're not sure which
Or
episode.
you could get sucked into one, like a Purple Rose of Cairo kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was fortunate enough. You remember Purple Rose of Cairo?
Of course.
Yeah, where
It's
they
just
get
that when if you watch enough back-to-back Twilight Zone, you start to think that everything is some sort of conspiracy. Like, are these people real? Am I real? You know, like, are people real?
That show.
Yeah.
And Rod was
Is
one
the
of my.
ground the
podcast
sky?
real?
The ground is
Exactly.
actually the sky.
He was
What
one of
happened?
my. What?
Is the podcast real? Well, we were just talking about that a few minutes ago.
Don't be silly.
Imagine if-
Podcast isn't real.
Imagine, if you will,
Oh,
you're trapped, captured in a dimension where infinity seems to go on forever.
They're all just kind
Submitted
of
for
like
your
O.
approval.
Just got
Henry.
tingles.
They're like O. Henry stories.
It's all submitted for your approval.
Right.
Very much like O. Henry stories.
Right.
You're right. If those of you, O. Henry is a reference to an author that published in a thing called books.
and he made candy bars.
And Canary Bar was actually named after
Oh.
him.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. Which came first, the candy bar or the author?
It's an episode of Twilight Zone.
Okay.
Look it up. Westworld. You put down Westworld, which is
Oh,
like
I
a futuristic Western. What
Yeah,
happens?
I love
Are there
Westworld because
robots?
it's Disney World on steroids, on acid, on whatever you want to call it. You know, it's the fact that society has diminished to such a base level that we are willing to go pay to pretend like we're killing people for the visceral feeling of murder and mayhem that we perhaps cannot create in our own real world. And it's not that I relish that. I just like the way that they set that all up to teach us moral lessons for the now, for so many societal things, whether it's race or gender, whatever. I mean, they really have brilliant writers, and I relish each episode because I know I'm going to benefit from, grow from each episode.
I love that. And Westworld, go back to the previous page. Westworld is available on there's the IMDb.
HBO.
Does it
HBO,
mention?
and then you can also grab it on. What do they mean when they say YouTube?
You can buy
you can buy it.
YouTube now.
Yeah.
You can
Oh.
stream
Yeah.
it for $3.
Okay.
They gave me a free thing a long time ago, and now I just own it. I think it's some
You're like-
sequel
you
to
get
some
a bill
animated
somehow.
film, and it's just mine forever, and I can't get rid of it.
Yeah, I bought some documentary I had to watch for Spanish class freshman year of college,
Yeah.
and it's the only thing in my YouTube library, and I don't know how to get rid of it. So every time I go in there to like consider buying something else, I see that. I'm like,
reminds you of that.
And do you watch it?
I actually never watched it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then you're cured.
funny.
Just
How do you-
graduated, by the way.
How do I delete my queue?
You're totally cured.
All right, Mike's picks. Mike. So Mike's been doing
Yes.
some streaming
I
in
do.
North Dakota
Go
with,
ahead.
with the boys. Go ahead.
Yeah, I happen to have the Clone Wars, which we watched as a family. My wife and two boys. We're all into Star Wars. It's the short version, not the lengthy version we've had. We've watched all the Star Wars movies. We watched some Marvel comics and everything similar, The Flash and whatever else. And we also have on Hulu. We've been watching some sports as well too, especially NBA Finals, some baseball, and also a little bit of football. And of course, got the Stanley Cup. And I also trying to see what else I have. So I think I've got. Yes, and of course we got the Feed Phil.
You said
It's what was it? Somebody Feed Phil.
Somebody
It's about
Feed
Phil
Phil.
Rosenthal. He goes all over the world and just samples
Phil
food
Rosenthal.
and say, make them happy, feed them, please. And world's greatest homes, oddest homes, and anything to do with architecture. It's more into learning. It's more of a process too. So yes, world's most extraordinary homes, and then you also got the one, I think it's the interior, and also with my son as well too. He likes to watch the Great Bake Off. It's a British
That's such a
show,
funny
baking,
show.
and the great cooking and all these contests and everything. Because my son Steven wants to be a culinary chef, and my son Sam wants to be an architect, and they're both on the computers. My wife is a writer, author, and she's an artist as well too. Of course, myself, I'm a radio personality and a podcaster, and I just do all things to help support an artistic family.
Phil
That's
or
great.
Mike, have you watched the Log Cabin show?
The Log Cabin, no, but that's a very good suggestion. I'll
yeah.
mention to the boys
Yeah,
when
I'll
I get
see-
up here.
I'll see you in a couple of years. Because you will get sucked in. You will
Yeah.
get sucked in. It's all about whether or not this couple can find the right log cabin. I've talked about this on the show before.
Yes, you have. You
But,
seem obsessed with it, actually.
And then Jamie's like, is it always the same couple?
Just the one.
Like-
There was
like-
They
trying
just
to
can't
find this.
They can't find it. They're forever
This
searching.
cabin is not working out. We need another cabin.
I always thought log cabins. I never think of a resale market for. I feel like you just build one when you need one,
Yeah.
and then
You have to leave
just
them.
have a log
And that's
cabin.
your
They're
survival
all
place.
deserted.
Yeah.
I never
If you
thought of a
start
resale
watching
market.
the show, you will become obsessed. It's crazy because you just start picturing yourself living in a cabin, Mike. Yeah.
in a tree. How about a log cabin tree house?
Oh, they probably have.
Maybe with a pool and have those
Aren't
people
there
that dig
shows
pools.
about building some sort of treehouse for your kids?
Yeah,
There's probably
no, the
Yeah.
whole tree house,
There's all
Tree
kinds of-
Masters.
Tree Masters.
It's fantastic.
Phineas and Ferb.
It's
I
fantastic.
love Phineas and Ferb.
And they
I
watch
still
that too,
can watch that
Phineas
show.
and Ferb.
Wait, let's see if you guys binge on. My wife just finished choreographing a Netflix show about ice skating.
Yes, what's it
It's called
called?
Spinning Out. And
Ooh,
I
great
think it's
title.
coming out in August.
Okay.
And ice skating season, the peak of ice skating season.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't either.
And, there it is. Yeah. With Kaya and the whole gang and Jonathan Van Ness and January Jones.
I love Queer Eye.
And thank you.
No, I mean you said
I
Jonathan.
thought
you
this
said
is the
Jonathan.
way I was looking at you. I didn't know what you were talking about.
Are you guys falling in love? What's happening?
Yeah, there was something there. There's a little bit of magic. I think we had a moment.
We did
guys-
a
you guys
little.
had-
I think we had.
pixie
Well,
dust.
Lane submitted. Lane, go ahead. He submitted. Go ahead.
go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I submitted a few. The one I have been telling everyone about is Fleabag.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've been
It's
wanting to watch that.
Amazing. It's perfect. It's not. I realized after I submitted all of these, it's not super binge worthy because all these have like 1 or 2 seasons, but they're very good. And Fleabag just released its 2nd season. It's on Amazon, so you can watch both seasons now. And it's basically the story of Fleabag, who is like a 20s, 30-something woman dealing with trauma and life and just kind of a bunch of relatable stuff. But what's really cool is she breaks the fourth wall, kind of like House of Cards, but
yeah.
like cooler.
Oh,
And somehow
Cooler.
it's very
it's all
good.
cooler now.
Did somebody name her Fleabag?
They never say her. That's just the name of the character.
Okay.
But no one calls her Fleabag.
Oh,
Only
we
the
don't know
audience
why.
knows she's named Fleabag.
interesting.
Oh, and just like Pygmalion, perhaps. I don't know.
That's not someone's real name.
Oh, they don't call her Pygmalion
Her
and
real name
Pygmalion?
is My Fair Lady.
Oh, I thought her real name was My Fair. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Liza
so
just. What I
so
have to ask a
Fleabag.
question though first
Where do
before
we
we
find Fleabag?
continue.
Yeah, go ahead, Jamie.
Before we continue,
Yeah.
if I may, how many episodes connote binge-worthy? It was interesting. Lane said it wasn't necessarily binge-worthy because it's only 2 seasons.
I think
Oh,
people
see,
think
no,
of like,
all
yeah,
mine
yeah,
are first seasons.
Yeah, I think people they think about like maybe 5 seasons or something, but like if you're if you just see if you
Wow.
get sad about that how Freaks and Geeks is only 1 season,
Yes.
instead just change your framing and think of it as like an extremely long movie.
Yeah.
Then
that's
you're
interesting.
you're
Exactly.
satisfied and happy about it.
That's how we felt about Westworld.
I think that binge-worthy means a lot more the rate at which you consume
Yes.
between episodes.
Like, do you
and, like,
eat or
You don't have to wait.
Netflix does that thing where it just will start playing the next one if you're not quick enough.
Well, you're 14
and
seconds.
it's about
I think you
it's
only
about
have
if
5,
you
I feel
That's what happens
how
with
much
Log Cabin.
how much
Morning.
panic you feel in terms of not being able to stop. Like
Right, you
if
haven't
it-
even realized the previous one's over and the next one's
Yes.
playing.
Wait,
It's
it's
true
a
though.
whole
You're
new
like, wait,
couple.
was there a pause? Did
It's
I
a
miss
whole new
something?
couple that needs
Yeah.
a log cabin.
It's a whole new season.
For me, the main thing about being
frustration.
binge-worthy is that there either needs to be a ton of episodes, so especially for like rewatch value, because I binge a lot of things that I'm rewatching, a ton of episodes so that I kind of forget what happens in each one, or short and chaotic episodes so that I again kind of forget what happens in each one. And the short, if there's like a 17-minute show, like where each episode is only 17 minutes, that's going to be a lot better for me for binging because I just feel like it's like snacking almost.
Oh,
it's
it's
not
real
like
size.
My daughter and I she decided she wanted to watch Grey's Anatomy. And I was like, I hope this is a good
How
parenting
old is
decision.
she?
She's 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
but
that's
she's
good.
like an old soul.
Yeah,
And I'd rather her see like sexual content than violent content.
I feel that way.
Yeah. That's
my
natural
wife
to
and I
me.
feel that way
Yeah.
when we argue around the house. We tried. We'd
great
rather than
way to
watch
remedy.
the makeup
Yeah.
sex
All right,
We
I
watched
rather
like
than the
15
argument.
Going there.
seasons. I know. Well,
Okay.
magic in the air.
Yeah.
But we watched. It was 15 seasons, and I thought, good Lord, girl, I don't know.
Oh my God.
And she
did?
just. It was like our weekend thing, and
you
then
guys
she'd
leave
do
the
her
house
homework,
yet?
and then she'd come. I was like, I have to write, and she's like, you've already seen it, so I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
It was like background noise.
Yeah.
And it,
yeah.
I mean, in 15 seasons, and I thought, okay, at this point, you're going to have a break, though, from technology for at least like 3 days. Just
That's
to
what I did with
detox.
The Office. I watched it in like an embarrassingly short amount of time. Like I'm disgusted with myself. Like
I felt shame.
Did any showering happen at all?
a little bit, but
little
not
bit.
enough.
Right.
Lane, you wanted to talk about Barry.
Oh,
Oh, that's a
fantastic
great
show.
show.
Yep, I mean Barry's great. as you know, your friend of the show, Henry Winkler, is one of the high points of it. Yeah, it's just like really smart, fun comedy. And in the second season, there's an episode called Ronnie Lily. That's like one of the best episodes of television ever. It's just like this insane bonkers bottle episode that like feels detached from the rest of the show, but it's just like its own little short film almost, and it's amazing.
Okay, wait. So do you watch with Feel Like That? Or do you watch I'm Dying Up Here?
I love that.
I've seen some of I'm Dying Up Here.
Yeah,
but
it's all about stand-up comedy, James.
And I lived it.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
You died up there.
No, I really I don't. They've never really been able to capture it and all the efforts.
It is an ecosystem that is difficult to capture.
Really.
What's the other show on HBO or Show TV?
In the Spotlight or something?
No,
What
it's
is it?
about that one
Crashing.
guy. Crashing. Oh, I haven't seen that. I like Crashing.
I think that's a little more on on the nose.
Kind of.
And
how
I
about
don't know
Mrs.
why.
Maisel?
I don't know why.
Oh, Mrs. Maisel.
Mrs. Maisel's wonderful. It's just so
But it's larger than
charming and larger than
really
life. It's like a
is.
Broadway show.
Yeah.
Every episode.
It's just I love it because it should be up for a Tony.
It
Actually,
really
on
is.
Sunday.
Honestly, I agree. I just feel like it's next level.
It should be nominated for that.
Yeah, but
and
Henry Winkler and Barry, that's otherworldly. I don't even know. I don't know how they do that. So for those of you, because I know I said to everybody, describe what the plot is. If people just hear it as a title, they don't really know. So Barry is about a hitman who wants to be an actor.
Yes.
And he's a really good hitman and a horrible actor. And
Well, if he just takes out all the good actors.
That's what we're getting, I think.
we might be heading in that direction.
You just walked into the writer's room.
You really did.
So
Welcome, showrunner.
So Bill Hader took two completely different worlds and melded them in a genius way that is an examination of the human condition, and it's just something of
Your heart breaks for him.
It breaks for
You
him.
completely find him
they have.
relatable, and he's a hitman.
Well, so
They
that's like Breaking
have.
Bad almost. In the same way
Yeah.
that you like relate and feel for someone who's kind of a horrible person.
But
And like not
Yeah.
kind of.
No, yeah,
But
absolutely.
he's
is.
not a
Humanity.
horrible person. The horrible
He
person
did it for the
is
right reason.
portrayed by Stephen Root, who is one of the consummate actors of our day.
He's amazing.
He is amazing, that man. Just wonderful.
I don't
Do
know
you
if
watch
anybody,
Better Call Saul?
If
Stephen Root?
But
No. No, I never
just
watched
said
Better-
Breaking Bad.
Oh.
Do you watch Better Call Saul?
When it first
Never
came
watched
out,
it.
I watched a couple episodes. It didn't catch me. I've heard
Never
it's gotten better, but I haven't tried
Yeah.
again.
It's slow.
It took me a while
You
to
have
build.
to like media that builds to where it's going.
Yeah, I need it now.
What about
No.
Ozark?
Ozark.
Ozark's
Oh,
terrific.
that is such a well-written
Laura
show. I
Linney
cannot
is
wait for the
just
next season.
Captivating in that. Just
a
what she's going through, because she's in the background. Really, it's who Mike
Jason Bateman.
Jason Bateman is the lead, and it focuses on him, but her turmoil and the fact that she has to live with this guy and adapt. Oh, it's
And
fantastic.
the kids, though, the kids,
And the
in that
kids.
show are genius
Fantastic.
actors.
Yes, they are.
But the thing that I always ask everybody, and I'm kind of like with Mike and his kids, I always ask everybody, is it violent? Because I can't do violence or torture. I especially can't do torture. So
Can't do
I'm
torture.
going to pick The Fosters.
Yes.
I don't know where it aired initially or if it's still on the
wasn't
air.
it on ABC Family? Or?
ABC Family.
that sounds about
My
right.
daughter
So-
Haley was in the original.
She was. And
episodes.
so click on The Fosters if you would, and I'll explain how and why I can watch it. Even though there is a surprising amount of gun violence in this suburban family.
Really?
Well, because it's a TV show, so stuff has to happen.
Yeah, you
was
got to
just
build
like-
the drama.
If it was just like, how was
Someone
your
dies and comes
how,
back.
How was school? Fine. Then we really wouldn't have a show. So in The Fosters, it's two women who are married to each other, and they have one son who is a biological son of one of them, and then they've adopted, and it's just a house full of teenagers, and basically all hell is constantly breaking loose. And there's Haley. Haley was in a group home with Rosie O'Donnell. Mm-hmm. So Rosie,
who hasn't been?
right?
Yeah, I know. That's how I got started in
And
comedy.
Rosie is really good in The Fosters.
She
She's
is.
fantastic.
She's excellent. She's
And-
excellent, and she was very, very nice to everybody,
And
which I was really, really thrilled to hear.
And what
was-
I love Rosie. I think she's hilarious.
Yeah.
But she's also, like a lot of hilarious people, are very good dramatic actors.
Yes.
Kind of like Carol Burnett and
Robin
people.
Williams. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I want to say about The Fosters is this show touches upon so many important issues. And I think they were doing it kind of ahead of the curve. So it's very brave. It touches on all kinds of LGBTQ issues and then dysfunction, eating disorders, trans, everything.
Well,
I haven't created a list of topics.
There was an episode where everybody thought Haley was pregnant, and she was given all the signals, through the writers that she was pregnant, and she fessed up at the end of the episode that she'd actually been diagnosed with HIV. And so the groundbreaking part about that was this was had to be 4 years ago, maybe. And people just hadn't been introduced to the fact that you could live with HIV, and with the proper medication, with the proper diet, so forth, it was possible, and it wasn't a death sentence any longer. And that was the message the Fosters was sending out on ABC Family before anybody else had touched upon it. I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah. And what they really delve into,
especially for ABC.
Yeah,
for ABC Family.
I mean, that's
ABC Family.
What they
derivative,
Disney thing.
What they're constantly delving into is the foster care system and what's broken about it and what we can possibly do about it. So
that's a whole nother podcast.
And the kids that are hurt by that.
Yeah, and so it's a great show, great acting. All the kids on it are great. The two moms are fantastic.
They are fantastic. Tell me their names.
Lena and I don't know anything.
Patricia and Georgie.
I don't know pop culture people, but because my husband's always asking me well, who's that? And I'm like, well, I think I know another show she was in, but I don't know.
I've seen their face before, maybe. I don't know. I don't keep up with any
so
of
it's Steph and Lena, and they're called Mom and Mama. But you can look them up. It's
a wonderful show.
Just Google it.
It is.
It's there. And Dina, you wanted to talk about a couple of Hulu originals that you think stand out this year.
So I just wanted to mention Shrill and Pen 15.
Oh, Shrill's on my list of watch.
Oh, wonderful.
They're great shows for different reasons. Shrill is a show starring Adie Bryant, who I think everybody might know from Saturday Night Live. She's a plus-size woman, and so the great thing about that show is the representation of that character. But Pen 15 might be my favorite show of maybe the entire year, because so it's two women in their early 30s who are playing adolescent girls, and what that and everyone else on the show is like actual adolescents. So what that allows is it allows the actors to do things that it would not be appropriate for an actual child to do, but that gives like such an incredibly meaningful look at life as like a 12-year-old girl. And it's really like shock. I mean, like I couldn't, as soon as I turned it on, like it was it. I was done. But I also need to mention that Melrose Place is streaming on Hulu, and that's 7 seasons of like beautiful primetime soap opera. So I recommend that too.
Really?
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. Is it time
that
to
sounds more like a regurgitation than a rerun.
Well, I mean, if you back then,
I have a hard time.
See, the thing.
I'm sorry.
The thing about shows like Melrose Place, I felt like in that time period, I didn't have time. I didn't. If you weren't home, you weren't seeing it, and then you felt like, well, I'm not going to know what's going on. And now you can just. You guys don't even realize it, but because you guys grew up at a time where you can start at the beginning, and be like, oh, well, I'll figure. And
you didn't have to wait.
You don't have to go like
all summer.
Ask your friends like, well, why is he still mad at her? Like, what happened?
I'm going to wait till I'm 78, 79 to start watching, because I've never watched. Yeah, just I want to have an older, a more mature perspective on it. And I'm going out on a limb here, but did anybody else? That's pretty crazy, I know. Did anybody else notice when you had that Pen 15 up? That when you see the actual word,
that's the.
Did you notice that too?
Yeah.
I mean, am I crazy?
No,
I mean, did that look like penis, or did it not?
That's the joke.
That's the
Anyone
joke.
who ever sent calculator messages, I think it's pretty.
The boobs.
All right. Oh, okay. All right. That wasn't just me then. Okay.
No, the writers know.
I just wanted to clear that up.
No human being would clear that name for a television show without knowing that was the joke.
Yeah.
Do you think? I think it slipped past the censors.
Really?
No.
Why was there ever in the 50s a show called Leave It to Beaver? How was that
let's
ever
think about a lot of shows.
Yeah.
Why was that okay?
Well, in those days, it was cute to call your kid Gopher, or
Gomer.
Chickadee, or
but Beaver?
Beaver.
What was it?
Beaver.
Do people call their kids all that stuff?
I don't
They
know
did.
if
It was kind of like the
Chickadee.
Tad,
Chickadee, Betty.
or the Cameron, or the Tad.
Well, they had Biff and...
Oh, real names.
Yeah.
I thought you meant that people just call their kids that like as a nickname.
Hey,
It was
that
a
makes
nickname.
way more sense.
Beaver was a nickname for Theodore.
Theodore.
But it wouldn't happen in real life that way.
Well, Beaver Roosevelt. You remember him? He was our president.
I didn't know him
The
as
turn-
Beaver.
Yeah, that was his nickname. Beaver Roosevelt.
I'm not on a
'cause
nickname
He was
basis
Theodore.
with
He was Theodore.
old presidents.
He's always amazed me how
That's
many
just like,
nicknames
we're
are
gonna
for
break
Elizabeth.
for commercial.
Okay.
Oh darn!
Step 1. Dramatic introduction. I am Magus Elgar.
Magus Thadalor Elgar is one of the more respected casters in all of Hearth.
The dragon bone plate in my skull probably needs its focus enchantment aligned.
Though don't expect to go under his tutelage unscathed.
Well, you know what they say. Pretension can turn intention into the best retention.
Nobody says that.
No, not really.
You can hear Magus Elgar and his exciting adventures. Visit MagusElgar.com to download your copy today.
Hi, this is Brad.
And this is Katie.
And we're the hosts of
Decomposition Podcast.
I think considering the material we're working with, that language was neither shocking nor inappropriate.
It's upsetting and delightful. Much like this song.
No, it's just rhyming nonsense.
Yeah. Here to hyperanalyze all your favorite terrible songs.
From Billy Joel to Taylor Swift.
And Pitbull to Kiss.
We break down what makes these songs so good.
While they're so bad. This is a postmodern commentary on human existence. Billy Shakespeare did write a whole bunch of sonnets. 154 to be exact. I am not suggesting that this is a good or artistic song in any way.
It's not good, but it's
great.
You can find us at decompositionpodcast.simplecast.fm
Or subscribe on iTunes or your favorite podcast app.
Check out our new episodes every Monday, and remember,
they're not guilty pleasures
if you don't feel guilty.
That sounds amazing.
That's really cool.
That is.
So in the second half of our show, we are going to be exploring the following question. Are we really cutting the cord? Since the old cable companies are still providing you with internet, they can control what you are able to access. So I'm going to go to Mike and say, how do you guys currently watch? Do you guys have a cable package, or do you guys just have like a Roku? How do you watch?
What we basically just have just separate. We have Netflix, we have Hulu. We'll watch YouTube, or sometimes we'll just rent from Redbox, or just find an alternative. And sometimes we'll watch anything from PureFlix, which is a Christian streaming service. So we don't have like a cable package per se.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we just pick and choose individually. But then if there's like a certain movie or a show that's not on, say, Netflix, then we go to Hulu. And if it's not on any of those, then we'll go to YouTube or just buy off of Amazon Prime. So
wow.
we look at every option possible.
Wow.
So
are you using a smart TV?
So,
how do you access all of these different streaming services?
Well, what we do is we just subscribe. So we find something on Netflix. You pay a certain amount a month, and then we just find what we like, what we don't like, and we just gather around, choose and everything. That's why I said, we just pick the ones that are safe, like Clone Wars, and of course, we did have Leave It to Beaver at one point. We had some of the classics, and we even binge watched what was it? Lost in Space and
that's good.
Twilight Zone and all the classics. And so we just pick and choose from Netflix, and if we don't like any of that, if we get bored with Netflix, then we'll go to Hulu to see what's on there too. And last year we were using Hulu just to watch some of the NBA finals, and also watching Stanley Cup hockey with Vegas going up against Washington. We're watching some of that. Now I got to watch a little bit of baseball, and the Cubs were in the playoffs as well too. So we watch on Hulu. If we see something on PureFlix, we'll go to that. You find some pretty good shows. Or if there's something that's not on any of those, and it's not on Redbox, if it's sold out, then we just go to Amazon Prime. We just pick and choose. So we're very flexible when it comes to those areas, and we're also open to others. So, and in terms like of a cable package, like say you get like 500 channels of whatever it is, like we don't subscribe to that because it's just so expensive as is. And up by many areas as well too. It's like everybody complains about cable. And of course, Bruce Springsteen many years ago sang the song 57 channels and nothing on. Nowadays it's like 1,000 channels and still nothing on. So we just basically just pick and choose what we think it's the best. And so I have to say it's been a pretty good choice. I mean, we don't argue over a lot of things. We just pick carefully, pick wisely, and find some educational, like on food. Like my son just loves to cook, and Sam, he loves to build and get in computers. My wife's an artist, and just find some really good shows to watch. And myself, I just like cartoons to an extent as well. So I've been a cartoon freak for quite some time. The Warner Brothers, Hanna-Barbera, and everything else. So it's just like, or it comes worse the worst, like just go to your local library and just rent a DVD. So we're flexible in a lot of areas.
Yeah, you sound flexible. One question, Mike. When do you eat?
We actually have a set time where it's either like, say, anywhere between 5 and 7, because I do interviews on the Mike Wagner Show where I record guests and play back in a later date, just like I do with Louise at a certain time. And then like in between, I'll sit down and have dinner and then go down and do my show. And then there are certain nights where I don't record my show, and we'll just order a pizza, make our own pizza, and then just sit around the laptop or with a projector, just
TV,
watch whatever.
Anything,
he's
anything
got a
with
son
a screen.
who's a chef, so that works out.
Well,
so this is an article on Vox by Todd Vanderwerf. That's a really fancy name that I am enjoying pronouncing. Todd Vanderwerf
Sounds fake.
wrote this.
It does.
He says that Disney is going to own 60% stake in Hulu. The other 40% is held in a 30-10 split by NBC Universal and Warner Brothers, respectively. So far, it's not clear if Disney will try to buy up that 40%. At the same time, Disney is touting its upcoming Disney Plus streaming service, expected to launch at the end of 2019. Thus, the question many people are asking is, what will happen to Hulu once it's majority owned by a company that's launching a competitor to Hulu? He says that's the wrong question. The right question is, how much of Hulu just becomes Disney Plus? The anticipated cost will be $7 a month. Disney plans to move its content off Netflix. Companies are willing to lose money in the interim in order to reclaim their properties from Netflix. All of this has been dubbed the content Cold War. And Jake and I were talking about this the other week at my mom's house, and Jake has some views about how this is going to play out and whether or not it's going to work out for we, the consumer, and Mike, who already subscribes to like 3 or 4 things.
Yeah, I have some very strong opinions about this, specifically the economics of it. But first, just because we mentioned Disney Plus, I must plug the fact that Disney keeps doing this live-action remake thing, and it's weird. And there's like, have people seen the new trailer for The Lion King, which look like real lions? That's weird. Those real lions are going to fall in love, and we're going to have to wrestle with that as a nation as they tell a love story with photorealistic animals. But they're also making The Lady and the Tramp in photorealistic live CG, sometimes using real dogs, which means they're going to have 2 dogs, real dogs or photorealistic real dogs, share a plate of real spaghetti. And we're going to have to agree that that's okay or not okay, like as a people and as a country, if
Beyond
this is what we want
okay,
to have happen.
it's adorable.
But they'll be real dogs.
That's
Like,
okay.
Anyway.
So you're saying it won't look as adorable when they're real
It won't
animals?
look as
I
cute
don't
when
think
they're real
so either.
dogs.
They're
It's gonna be
swapping
really
real
weird.
spaghetti, too. Real
Or real
spaghetti's weird
spaghetti,
looking.
right? Anyway.
As long as the chef says cockerel spaniel. Yeah, that's a beautiful cockerel spaniel.
So
That's all I care about.
on the economics of Disney Plus, a lot of things are leaving Netflix. You can actually find this terrifying website where they just list things leaving over time.
Terrifying.
I sent you
But
guys that link.
there's this great, and is this the infographic?
I sent it in a separate email.
Okay, somewhere is an infographic of a poll done of Netflix users asking them, if this thing left, would you stop subscribing to Netflix? So the 4 things are The Office, Disney shows and movies, Marvel movies, and Friends. And you can see the different, like, there's these little panels, each one with a label and stuff, but each they show the breakdown of actually, like, if these 2 things combined leave, what percentage of people would claim to leave Netflix? Obviously, every time anything that happens that's bad, everyone claims, I'm going to cancel this, or I'm going to do something about it. Most people are just going to keep being subscribed to Netflix because it automatically happens, and there'd be effort to cancel it. But these are people who claim that they would leave if these things disappeared. And we know at least Friends was extended for one more year, but at some point it's going to be pulled and brought over to an alternative streaming site.
There's going to be a Warner
Disney,
Brothers streaming site.
Yes, everything Disney, which includes everything Marvel, and also now includes everything Fox, and so many other things, is eventually going to be pulled from all these different sources and put on Disney+. And Disney has their own fun ideas about what's okay involving morals and policies and culture and what things they won't let happen on their sites. It's kind of terrifying because shows that I love that are willing to do crazy, terrible things on television are now under, many parent companies between, but under this big Disney label. And will it get pulled eventually from Hulu? Will Hulu get to have fun, weird shows anymore? It's very worrisome when Disney's starting
Jake, are you saying I'm going to lose Melrose Place? Because now I'm scared.
I think Melrose Place is fine.
Even additionally, Jake, like the stuff on Netflix, right? If people are leaving Netflix in those numbers, that's less Netflix original programming. So the stuff that other companies are willing to do that's not under the Disney umbrella, new stuff you would like, less likely to be made. That's and lower production value.
And what about the quality?
I just think that the quality of stories that you're going to get to see, like, I won't leave Netflix because as a writer and a creator, the freedom that you have on that platform, it's just, there's nothing like it. It really is. And there's nothing like it. And Disney is known to start off big and strong and great, and then it's just going to become, they're like an oligarchy.
Well,
it's too much.
So my question then is, like, will the new streaming services remember and acknowledge that the things that made Hulu and Netflix great to begin with were the ingenuity and that the freedom that they gave to creators, or will it be corporatized instantly and everyone has to just like fall into line and
slowly go back into?
If they don't remember that, they'll wither on the vine.
Will they? Because we just saw that 50% of people, 49% of people would leave Netflix if it stopped having 4 groups of things, 2 of which are individual shows. If I started my own streaming platform, which is just Friends in the Office for $2 a month, it seems like I would have a large percentage of Netflix users willing to pay $2 a month for Friends and Netflix. I could just send DVDs like in the mail of just Friends and Netflix.
No, Jake, but I think that when people respond to a question like that, they're responding with their feelings.
Yeah, it's very emotional.
Someone said, if someone took away Friends, and you're like, you better not take away Friends. And then, but like in the reality of like looking at your TV and scrolling through the many selections on Netflix,
like, how many times
become
do you
kind
pick
of
Friends?
hypnotized. Like
How
they
many
have
times
the
do you pick
Fosters
Friends?
I don't.
and Log Cabin.
I really feel like you should become an EP on that show.
Like it's easy. I feel like I should. It's easy to say you're going to leave, but would they actually?
I clarified that.
But a lot of people would
I
still
tried
leave.
to say people don't want to leave, but if Netflix is going to be losing all of their content, I actually think that they're going to transition mostly to more fun, interesting, weird content.
I think so too.
We might get more things. They recognize right now that the things that they need are Netflix originals that replace those top slots, and they're doing a pretty good job. I think 5 out of the 10 most watched things, maybe 4 out of the 10 most watched things on Netflix are currently Netflix originals.
Yeah.
So they might actually pivot even more to the indie niche, interesting platform.
But they're playing the percentages.
We have a content creator here, and so we want to know how you interface with those platforms in terms of your content creation. Like, what is your relationship with them like?
Well, I mean, I'm not working with them yet, but with Netflix anyways. But I think realistically, when you're talking about writing, I mean, even directing, like I have friends that they make their films. That could be short films. It could be whatever. Their ability to get that on a platform like Netflix, it's so much easier. So they immediately get access to a global audience. We immediately get seen by people that could never see. They're never going to see those kinds of projects or films on any regular network television show. It's not a Fox show. They're not ABC. They don't fall into the traditional like American idea of projects. And so it just gives you, for one, I mean, like Amazon's completely hands off. Like if you go and you show up and they say yes, you have to present a decent amount of your budget, and then they will give you the rest of the money to do whatever project. That's the same thing with Netflix and everything. They've given creative control back to the creatives. And I mean, there's a film that Maya Rudolph and Tina Fey just did called Wine Country, and watched it. It is a brilliant film, Netflix original. And that's the thing is, if you say, hey, you have great content, go for it. It's also less expensive to make. It's also, you now have access. I mean, not every country has access to Netflix, but it opens the door to so much more exposure. And like he said, I think that that's true. I mean, all they're going to do is just bring on more writers. Netflix is the beast that cannot be taken down.
Yeah, well,
they created something that is brilliant, and they give things back to
You
the
cut
people.
off Friends, and they just grow a new one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like I can tell you as much as I love Friends, I watch it now, and I'm like, really? Sometimes I have a hard time.
really?
I have a hard time going.
I don't know necessarily, and obviously you're way more tied into that stuff than I am, but to say that Netflix is the beast that can't be taken down, I think we're in an era of where companies last very short amounts of time. Everything moves very fast.
Yeah.
How long has Netflix been around? Since they started their DVD service?
Do you know that they still have their DVD service?
Yeah, for a lot of places, for people who don't have internet and stuff.
Yeah.
But they still haven't been around in the grand scheme of things, like not that long. So to say that like there's no end in sight for them, I'm not saying this is the end, but I'm not so confident in them just having existed now for a decade and a half that's now guaranteed that they can just sustain this when they have to be totally original.
And I can see that, and I think the beauty of them versus some of these other studios and networks who have a lot of restraint, and they have to practice a lot of restraint, and they are beholden to others. Netflix continues to innovate and reinvent itself. So when they hit a roadblock, they come up with a better plan.
Oh, I mean, I like them, and
they
I hope
have
they
the
do and
freedom.
think they can.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing: is as a writer, that would be like horrifying if
they disappeared now.
Because then we're just going to get right back into this world where writers, directors, actors, crews, cast, like everybody is locked in, and there's just a set group of people. And then it doesn't ever expand, and you don't ever get exposed to new actors or new writers or new, even like documentaries and
dark,
topics.
twisted concepts.
They've shown better than a lot of...
Beyond Dark Twisted Concepts, one of the three networks would have never come up with a skating show.
Right,
A
but
show
that's what I
about
mean.
ice skating.
It's a platform, and they're
And
reaching
here you are.
niche
Well, they've shown
audiences, which
better
is
than
brilliant.
a lot of people and a lot of companies, I should say, that they can adapt and survive and adapt. But I just think that doesn't mean they're always going to be able to. And I think that this is a huge, huge issue for them. And so I'm not so right. Exactly.
Well, yeah, you can't. I mean,
right.
it's just we're living in eternal optimism at this point.
I want to. That's where I like to live.
An
I like
important
to
thing, so I'm just going to bring a technical angle to this. Netflix, all of their infrastructure is actually Amazon's. Amazon also runs their own streaming service where you either buy or your Prime or all these other company things, but they're also streaming in the streaming video game. And Netflix is entirely dependent upon the web services. They don't own any of their infrastructure. They rent everything from Amazon, right? They could obviously go other places. That might take some time and upset them. There might be some fun antitrust things in the future as we look into, is it okay to directly compete while also owning all of the infrastructure? But Netflix's main thing that they have, like actual resources, is the current subscribers who will continue to be subscribed like next month, and their library of media. All of the infrastructure, all of the other things, they are renting that on a monthly basis, basically.
Right, so those two are threatened immensely.
Yes,
That's
yes.
what I'm saying.
They don't have, it's not like traditional media where it's like, oh, we have a storefront in every major metropolitan area, and now we're moving into the suburbs. It's not like when you needed to go on an endeavor like Blockbuster, and you were franchising stores and owning physical locations, infrastructure was really costly, and it's still really costly, but it was permanent, and you invested in it. Netflix at this point, if all of the web services companies, say something crazy happens to the price of energy or something, and all of them shot up their costs, they would be directly affected because they don't own any computers. Netflix only owns the computers they use for customer service or for writing code on. They don't own their infrastructure. They're vulnerable to another ecosystem underneath them. And Amazon happens to own the largest share of that ecosystem.
Well, whether it's Amazon or Netflix, they're just building a new studio in Toronto. I was just in Toronto, and there's a whole complex of 3 airplane hangars that are studios that they're going to inhabit.
I mean, Amazon
in the next year.
In addition to the new Disney streaming service, a new Warner Media / AT&T streaming service will include content from Turner, Warner Brothers, and HBO. They may need to charge $15 a month because any move to offer HBO more cheaply will upset their cable partners. So people that still have not cut the cord are spending $15 a month to have access to HBO and all of its affiliated channels, upon which nothing's really playing that you want to watch, as Springsteen said. Anyway, as a streamed show, Friends is likely, after much debate, to end up exclusive to the Warner Media service. The people let's see, that would come at a cost. The sitcom would bring in some $75 million a year if the company allowed Netflix to continue streaming it, but they are willing to take the hit. It's sort of like, when a music artist buys back their catalog. Like, this is going to be expensive now, but I feel like this is going to be worth money down the road. So a lot of the content providers, like maybe even one day, cover your ears, Dina, but Melrose Place will, somebody will be, who owns that will be like, I'm loaning it to Netflix because that's a great way for everyone to get to see it, and they're going to give me money. But in the long term, if I'm going to have my own streaming service, so the question I want to ask the panel is like, how many services do you think people like Mike and Jamie will be willing to subscribe to, or even you guys who are just on the cusp of your adult lives? Like, how many monthly services once you set up your households, would you guys be willing to subscribe to?
Yeah, I'd like to know that.
That's a dilemma for me. And it's partly because I'm entering a time in my life where my finances are going to be tight, but also because I have a diverse set of like content consumption interests. So for me, sports are the single most important thing that I watch. And they're, unlike a lot of different types of binging and online streaming things that we consume, very communal. So when something's happening live, I'm in a group chat with 10 other people and I'm on Twitter at the same time. The reason I don't stream sports is because 1 or 2 seconds delayed from what's happening on cable changes the entire experience for me. So until streaming is consistently matching the exact same playback time that cable is, I'm going to be a little bit tied down to live TV for sports at least. Other than that, HBO, Showtime, and then one of the other ones I would subscribe to because I really like the content on HBO and Showtime. And Hulu was trying to get into the live sports thing, and they're doing a great advertising campaign where they're just paying athletes exorbitant amounts of money, and the whole advertisement is just the athlete acknowledging how much they're getting paid to say the words Hulu has live sports. And it's hilarious. And one of them gets it tattooed on their arm, Hulu has live sports, and it's hilarious. But until they can keep up with like television, cable, I'm not going to be watching live sports on Hulu.
We should get like Hulu has live sports like right here. Podcast.
And a streaming LED.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't actually know that either.
Hulu has
Is it launched?
Yeah, it's a lot of live sports on Hulu and YouTube
Mike
as well.
watches it.
Right, and YouTube streaming the NBA Finals too, and I'm not. They keep advertising it to me, and I'm not going to watch on YouTube. I'm going to keep watching on ESPN. On
there's so many delays, unfortunately, on YouTube.
Jake.
You're very loyal.
I'll throw in another caveat, which is maybe unspoken in the streaming game, but very real, which is that I can go to some website like watchfreecartoonnow.io.
You wouldn't.
And I just have the show already. And it doesn't matter if it belongs to Time Warner or if it belongs to Netflix or belongs to Hulu. It's all in one place, organized by people who are more passionate about preserving old media, like all these old cartoons, right? They're out there. It'll take you 3 seconds to be watching a random episode of Tom and Jerry at this moment.
Yeah.
And everyone else has to compete with free and convenient. Sure, sketchy.
But so
free.
it's sketchy. Okay, so someone has lifted it and placed it on a site until it gets taken down, and that's like that party that keeps moving around ahead of the cops.
They just keep re-uploading
It's actually brilliant because so there's lots of different cases, but some of them are things where they just keep domain hopping, where there's the difference between the servers will get taken down and they can just point the same URL name at a different server.
TV Muse did that.
Yes, or eventually your domain can be taken down and they just flip it from like .org to .com or .net or .tv.
The parallel to what's actually happening in a plot line of Tom and Jerry is hilarious to me.
Yeah. Well, the other thing about the way that they get around all of the content getting taken down is a lot of these websites, and this is the way that they avoid actual legal ramifications for themselves, is they don't host anything. They just let you share a link that has the item. So if I'm trying to watch Tom and Jerry and the episode, I click on the episode I want, it'll just have a list of links that other people have submitted as like comments where I can stream it, and you just click the most recent one because it's the least likely to have been taken down. And you have 15
also a
options.
good way to watch Hamilton. You didn't hear it from me. So we're going to do Facebook feed time real quick. This is from Danny Wolf, and he posted, I have heard for some time that Mr. Plant lives in the area and is a fitness junkie, but that did not keep me from telling and praising and retelling this rock legend of what Led Zeppelin meant to me as a kid and still does to this day. Question for the panel. Do you ask spotted celebrities for selfies?
It depends how big of a celebrity
Have you ever?
and how invested I am. Oh, yeah, for sure. I saw LeVar Ball at a basketball game. I got a photo with him because he was very relevant at the time.
Yep.
I saw Blake Griffin at a CVS. Got a photo with him.
At a CVS, nice.
Yeah. But
Nice.
not if I don't have a personal interest in them.
Yeah, of course. What about you, Jamie? Because you're celebrity adjacent at
No,
most given times.
I wouldn't do that.
I
Just
mean, like
because
with your daughter, like, hey, can I get a selfie?
all the time, people are stopping us and getting pictures
No,
with
but
her.
will she let you take a selfie with her?
Oh yes, she has, and I got a free hat for all those singing lessons and dancing lessons. She gave me a free hat that says Kyoko across it. It's really exciting. But I respect a celebrity space, and I think I told you before. Scott Hamilton taught Haley how to handle fans,
And
that is,
what's his lesson?
the lesson is when they come up to you and say, "Can I get a selfie with you?" You say, "Yeah." What's your name? You find out their name. You make it about them. What do you do? Mm-hmm. And you just turn it on them, and that way it relaxes them. You take a picture, no big whoop.
And they don't have
it's
to
gone.
stand there and gush and think of what to say. They're answering questions.
But you basically turn it around on them. You know, they know your name, so what's your name? And you show that you genuinely have interest in your fans, which if you're in the public eye, you should, because your fans are what keeps you alive.
Yep. What about you?
So my mailbox in Toluca Lake, like there's a lot of people in the industry that have mailboxes there. But you just kind of get to know everybody, and because I work with some people too, like you take pictures when you're on set. I will say though that the one that I did not expect to be it was like my childhood dream was Eric Estrada.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
I was like, Punch, and we were just talking, and he's like, let's take a picture, and he taught me how to do
he'll
and
take a picture with anybody.
But he taught me the 3-second rule, which I forever will remember, is that if you have to look directly in the light,
right,
and like that's the best picture, right, because it's the best lighting, is to close your eyes, count to 3, and open and smile. It's like it's like the perfect selfie. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have to post pictures a lot, but I'm trying to start taking them with other. I don't know. That idea of the soul being robbed when you take too many pictures. I think about that sometimes. I think.
Well,
Really?
I do think that maybe if you asked somebody like Eric Estrada, who's been famous for a long period of time, if he prefers selfies to signing autographs, he probably prefers the selfies because, like,
yeah, it's easier.
Well, it's easy,
quicker.
it's fast,
Less
it's also
cramping.
Yeah,
It's probably more personal.
That's the thing
than
too,
just
right?
this generic, like,
Yeah,
move
just
your
like,
hand
this
and
is
walk
my
away.
signature. Jake, would you even know a celebrity if you saw one?
I have my own version of celebrity.
Okay, so who would that be?
Like,
I mean,
Elon
like I've
Musk
seen
is what I
people
think.
at a tech conference. I went to a tech conference.
Okay.
I was like, oh, I know that person's vaguely important, and I haven't posted a selfie or taken a selfie in as long as I can remember.
You don't have any
I don't
social
have
media
a social
accounts.
media.
Yeah.
You can't find me. Hopefully, well, you can find me through her.
Well, yeah. So I
But
sort of
I've-
tagged my
And you're
nephew.
streaming live right now on the
oh
internet.
yeah,
so
yeah.
there's that.
they should be able to
him.
find me. Yeah.
I think the
Identity
weirdest selfie thing for me has been if people recognize me from a voice I do on a video game. And I have no idea how they recognize me.
They just recognize your voice.
But they don't recognize my voice. My headshot is actually put up there.
That's cool.
And they know that I'm playing Hoffman in Gears of War.
That's cool.
Or, whatever. And they'll come up, and it's just so bizarre to me that they want a picture of the guy who does the voice
Does it mean
People
of
are
an
invested.
they
animated
want it
games,
because
so-
it means something to them.
And by the way, most animation is sketchy. Jake, you mentioned that before. I was
So,
kidding.
Mike, are you a celebrity in Bismarck, or do you ever see celebrities up there?
Well, actually, since North Dakota is pretty much a place where it's like, most of the celebrities you have are mostly in the political realm, like say in the state capitol, or say if like they're on the college football team or anything like that, or somebody in the oil industry. You just come up and say hi, how you doing? They're just treated like regular people. And of course, if they want a selfie done, they say, okay, that's no problem. And of course, autographs have gone by the wayside. Some people do that. But of course, if I saw like, a person and just say, hey, how you doing? Everything else, I'll just shake their hand. And if they ask, hey, would you like a selfie? It's like, I'll be glad to do it. I haven't had a lot of people really come up to me and say like, hey, can I take a selfie of you? Because, people in North Dakota are obviously much more laid back and everything else. But, if someone were to come up, I'd just say, I'd be glad to do it. It's just really good for the my personal brand name, what I do and everything else. It's like, we're very, very, very accommodating people. And I'll just simply say, sure, that's no problem. Thank you. Have a nice day. And, we just have this niceness and politeness about things. And, the celebrities here, like in the other side, they're very polite with people, very cordial, very friendly. And of course, we're concerned with the nicest people right now in the nation at this point. So I have to say, it's
You are.
like, you
Yep.
know, when
This
I'm on the
very
radio that they'll say, can you take a request? You're doing a great job. I just say, thank you with a smile and just move on. Have a nice day.
I think
I think I need to go to North Dakota.
Yeah.
I think
Everybody's nice.
they're
You're
vying.
more than welcome, guys. Come
would
on
love
up. We've got plenty of room for you.
I love it. All right, we're going to do what's Twitter trending, and what I found today Twitter trending is hashtag reasons you stay on Twitter. So let's see. This tweet establishes a theme for the hashtag. It's from the username is Jin number 2019 BTS Festa, and she tweets because of these 7 crackheads. Period. So I guess the new thing is to refer to BTS as crackheads. I guess if you click play, you'll see that these guys expend a lot of calories on the daily. There they go.
Is that what defines a crackhead?
I
Calorie
don't know. I
expenditure?
think this is just an endearment that BTS fans are using that it sort of explains the kinetic energy of BTS, but hopefully it's
a little cracked out.
Not really. I always thought it was Adderall.
Yeah. You thought it was Adderall. Okay, well, there's this
You
guy.
never know.
So I'm just jealous of anyone who can tell them apart because they all look like the same boy. I don't know.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. See,
I know,
now that gets into the
we're gonna
thing.
get mail.
Yeah, well, but I can answer that. I
Can you guys
counter
blur my
that.
face from this episode?
They're all named Jin. I think.
As you know, my children are half Caucasian and half Asian, and they get the Asian part from my wife because I'm the Caucasian one.
You
And-
are?
yes, I am. And I just want to clarify that since we're on radio,
Right.
But she gets white men confused a lot. I mean, a lot.
Well, I
She'll
think it
see
all just
Bruce
depends on, like,
Dern
what-
and think it's Harrison Ford.
Well, I get
She'll really.
I get blonde ladies confused.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like
They're all the
blonde
same.
actress.
Yeah.
I don't know your name.
I know.
You're the blonde pretty lady.
Yes.
So okay.
And it starts with Julie from
It's usually
from
Julie.
Modern Family, and it works out from there.
I
She's
love
good.
her.
She's good though.
She's
Like,
great.
She has
She
a
is.
personality.
Oh, she's a great actress.
From Jen on Ursula Enthusiast, she tweets, "No one tries to sell me anything like every woman I went to high school with on Facebook." So that's why she's on Twitter. Reasons you stay on Twitter. Does anyone else?
Twitter is filled with people trying
Oh
to
my
sell
gosh,
you things.
there is
What are
like
you talking about?
Arbonne and
On Twitter?
oh, they're all
and the-
Facebook for sure. I
But
actually
Facebook
think
is like you know the people, so you're just like,
I
But,
mean,
like promoted tweets.
I went to
sometimes
high
blend in
school,
really
but I don't
well.
know if that.
You don't even know they're trying to sell you things. You think it's funny, and then you're like, oh, that's
but
an
you're
ad.
not-
I
Yeah,
don't
right,
like
yeah.
that.
And it's a clever. It's very clever. The platform.
I
on
make sure
Twitter.
I unlike all ads I accidentally like to like definitely
Good.
not feed into that.
to not
what
hit the
happens-
algorithm.
But what
Right,
happens
just
a
to
lot?
not give them that feedback.
I feel like generally you know more people on Facebook than you know on Twitter, and so on Facebook
Yeah.
it's just like, oh, it's my birthday, and here's the fund. I'm okay.
Yeah, that's
all right.
true. Yeah, people on their birthday now who I like went to middle school with asking me for money.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I know it's for a good cause, but
Wait,
there's a
I
lot
have-
of you,
I-
and a
well,
lot of
actually-
causes, and I don't have a lot of money.
I've
so-
composed my letter for my next birthday, and I'd like them to donate their organs. And,
To you?
and- yeah, no, just in general to anybody who needs them.
Oh, well,
and
yeah.
so that's going to be my cause, is I'm going to go on and write this big letter
For your birthday.
for my birthday, and then it turns out that there's no money involved.
I don't want your
You
money.
just-
I want your kidney.
I just drop
is
a kidney
worth a
in,
lot
the,
of money.
in the box on the way out the door.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
finally, did I say all of them? Wait. Oh, from
There was one.
from that darn cat.
What about a cat?
Yes,
Yeah.
the cats.
The cat one is because cats have been the heart of social media for more than 4,000 years. And it's like an Egyptian.
Hieroglyph. Yeah.
No, they're not,
really.
the heart of. They're the brunt of social media
Oh no!
because
Oh my
we like
gosh,
to
the
watch them
video-
act goofy.
Uh-huh.
You
but
know,
we celebrate them, and also cats
Really?
own the internet, and they always have.
okay.
Are people
Well,
aware
that's
of
true.
people who are Twitter accounts but for cats, and then the cats talk to each other, but the cats talk all weird, like the original, like Icon has cheeseburger cats, but modern and
forgot
not
that
horrible.
happened.
Really?
And
God.
it's people pretending to be cats if you want to like break the fiction and not be fun. But it's like more interesting than humans interacting, and they end
Oh,
up
it
becoming
is, yeah.
famous, and they end up becoming like friends with each
Oh, yeah, there's-
other
there's
and other
thoughts of
cats.
dog is
No,
what I
but Jay, can
follow.
you
Those
just
are-
can
there's
you
some
just
funny ones.
break down a little cat history for those of us who
God.
are not as involved in cat internet as you have been since you were a small boy?
Mm-hmm.
Cat history from the beginning. Go.
Yeah, sure.
Cat
from
internet history.
The beginning of image macros in what we used to call memes, which used to all require impact font, and they had to have a top text and a bottom text.
Tell me about it.
Those were the rules.
Icon has cheeseburger or LOL. Maybe there's a Z at the end of that.
LOL cats,
LOL
yeah.
cats.
Icon as Cheeseburger, I think, was the iPhone app, like one of the original like meme
Yeah.
image macro apps.
Yeah.
I think that was the website.
It was both, but yes.
Right, but the actual like memes, I think, like a cat meme would be referred to as this is an LOL cat.
Yes,
Right.
a
Lolcats.
lolcat was a thing.
And then
it was
I Could
a
Ask
noun.
Cheeseburger was a host of
Yeah,
them.
and things like people didn't used to have the ability to make images easily, so sites that were generators in that you chose a background and then you just put in text, and all the website does is render text and impact font on the top and bottom and then give you the image back, became like hubs of culture on the internet.
So who determined how to speak cat?
That's a great question because
Thank you.
things that used to be LOL cat speak then just became internet speak. They are a weird amalgamation of leet speak, if we want to go back that far, of just like people who were on computers and thought it was cute that we were on computers and talking. So they would do weird things you could do on computers, like put threes and other things for other characters, just because in real dialogue that makes no sense. You can't say that out loud, and also over like pen and paper, no one would just write all weird for the fun of it. But once it was a computer, people thought it was fun to do weird things. Some of that stuff blended into LOL cat speak, and it's changed dramatically, but some of the same grammatical structures of like our understanding of cats on the internet is that they don't do grammar well. I don't know.
No, but you had an adverbial
But they
clause there.
can
You
talk.
didn't say good.
So
they
I'm
don't
not
do
saying that
grammar
they
good.
don't do-
You said
They can
well.
talk, they just don't talk
Congratulations.
well.
They don't.
Yes.
It's not that they do bad. It's that they specifically use
Badly.
different grammatical structures. So they are not. I'm of the opinion that grammar is a set of rules that describes how we talk, not tells us how to talk. And those cats follow their own grammar. If you try to talk internet cat, but you either use some of the grammar traditionally correctly or do other weird stuff that's not what people are doing, like it's a language you can speak. It's an actual grammatical structure that you can follow. It's just distinct.
It doesn't stay that. I don't think it's fleshed out enough to stay consistent when you're talking in nuanced concepts.
Cat
though.
phonetics.
It's really not, because grammar has a lot of rules. It's like logic, and
I would
everything
like-
has to
You're
follow
talking
suit
to a
the
writer
whole
and an
way.
editor.
I would
Right.
like to posit that they could talk better if they weren't trying to share spaghetti.
But I have to say I feel old right now because I have no idea what this culture is.
So I think
Good.
the new thing.
Perfect.
I think the new
right.
thing isn't
You
like
won.
trying to talk like a cat would talk, but rather like the meme is the description of, so there's like different photos and they're described with the same sentence, right? Like I see a lot of all cats is the same, right? So like if you have a picture of a tiger who's doing something cute that like a domestic cat would be doing, they would have the caption all cats, or if it fits, I sits, right?
I sits.
So, yeah, that's kind of like the newer.
I thought
Boy,
cat
yeah.
culture mostly died. So
It mutated. Like all things on the internet,
It's
it
in a
becomes
corner
less
now,
popular
though,
and then it
which I'm
becomes
cool
more
with.
popular. It's
One-
not the internet anymore,
yeah,
thank God.
I'm cool.
What
I'm
were you
very
gonna say,
One
Mike?
can only hope.
I was just gonna say I'm really glad that era of the internet is over.
gets
Yeah, that's
run.
right. I was like, get out of
Thinking
here.
back on that, it's like I don't know how any of us came out
It
of
was
it.
the coolest thing.
I think it's why
I don't think
everything
we
is the
did.
way it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
I-
think we did come out.
No,
clean.
yeah, I think
I don't
it's
think
why
it
we're
was
in chaos.
completely harmless.
No.
No, I think it scratched each and every one of us at one time.
All right,
done,
I
well
want to
done.
thank our guests. We are Things I Found Online, and I want to thank Mike Wagner from Bismarck, North Dakota, Jake Palanker, and Ryan Tabb, my co-host Jamie Alcroft. Our production team is Thomas Hubble, and Lane McFadden, and John Maddox. Thank you, Bill Filipiak and Steve Joyner, and to our social media manager, Dina Friedman. I am Louise Palanker. Be safe, be well, be kind, and we will see you next week.
Wheezy.